This is Joe Biden. From 1991 to 2008, Biden was an adjunct professor at Widener University School of Law in Wilmington, Delaware, where he supposedly co-taught a seminar on constitutional law, a thing that Biden does not understand.
From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons.
Except if you actually read the Second Amendment, it says nothing of the sort. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
The Second Amendment, from the day it was passed, limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon.
So do you see anything about limiting who can own a gun or anything about not being able to buy a cannon? Of course you don't. And with that, PolitiFact gave him a false rating on the matter, and the Washington Post fact checker gave him 4 Pinocchios. And despite being called out on it, Joe Biden, constitutional scholar, continues to spread misinformation about the Constitution to fit his anti-gun narrative.
We talk like there's no amendment that's absolute. When the amendment was passed, it didn't say anybody can own a gun and any kind of gun and any kind of weapon. You couldn't buy a cannon, and when this amendment was passed.
The president takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. But instead, Joe Biden just straight up lies about it over and over and over again.
And by the way, it's going to sound bizarre, I support the Second Amendment.
Bullshit!
But from the very beginning, the Second Amendment didn't say you can own any gun you want, as big as you want. You couldn't buy a cannon when, in fact, the Second Amendment passed. And certain people from the very beginning weren't allowed to purchase guns. Second Amendment's not absolute. When it was passed, you couldn't own a cannon. You couldn't own certain kinds of weapons.
And speaking of making shit up, listen to how he talks about guns in general.
When I sat with a trauma doc, and I asked him, I said, what's the difference? Why are so many people, not that many more people are being shot? This is now 20 years ago, 25 years. I said, why are they dying? And they showed me a x-ray. He said, a 22 caliber bullet will lodge in the lung, and we can probably get it out, may be able to get it and save the life. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body.
No, it doesn't. Here's a graphic of entry and exit holes of various types of ammunition. The 22 leaves the same mark as the 223 or 5.56, which is the ammo most AR-15s use. And here is the 9mm, which is the most common handgun ammo. Compare these two to the 357 or the 45, and you'll see which causes the most damage.
So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting.
And of course, if you know anything about guns, a 9mm weapon is not remotely considered to be high caliber. Again, he's just making up.
And remember, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and purchase a lot of weapons.
Why is he comparing owning a 22 or a 9mm to owning a cannon? Oh, I know! It's because he's stupid. I mean, this is a man that can't even pronounce the word exponentially.
Increases the prospects of success for those young people exponentially. And the county police grew exponentially. Increasing exponentially the prospects of their success. All studies show that will increase exponentially. Increase exponentially. Exponentially. Their profits are coming up exponentially. They have an exponentially greater chance of going all the way through 12 years of school. It increases exponentially their prospect of graduating. It also increases exponentially. Increasing exponentially. We increase exponentially. They're changing exponentially. They increase exponentially, which has increased exponentially. Prices went up exponentially. It's increasing exponentially. Increasing exponentially. The prospect.
Anyway, it's impossible to take seriously a president who not only lies about the United States Constitution, but also says that the Declaration of Independence sounds corny. Watch this infamous clip from March 2020.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
And since then, Biden has repeated this stupid line again and again and again.
We, the people, we hold these truths, etc. Sounds corny, but it's real. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator. We are unique. It sounds corny. Fight for the proposition that sounds corny. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all women and men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Sounds corny. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. I know it sounds corny, but that's what we are. Our nation's strength has always come from the idea. It's going to sound corny, but think about it. What's the idea of our nation? That we're all children of God. All life, liberty, are universal goods.
Why is he this way? I mean, if you think that that's stupid, listen to what else Biden thinks sounds corny.
And I think we should just take a look at the American spirit now. I am so damn proud. It sounds corny, but I'm so proud to be an American.
And over Memorial Day weekend, he told a bunch of Naval Academy graduates and their families that the phrase defending democracy sounds corny.
Each of you, as you go out into the world, will not only be a proud member of the Armed Forces of the United States of America, you'll be representatives and defenders of our democracy. Sounds corny, but literally our democracy.
So inspiring. And you know what else sounds corny to Joe Biden? Choosing a life of purpose.
They chose a life of purpose. Sounds corny, like a Memorial Day speech, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Whenever Biden says, sounds corny, it completely undermines the point he's trying to make, so he really needs to stop saying it. Actually, you know what would be way more helpful? For Biden to stop talking altogether.
Democracy is not perfect. It's never been good, perfect.
So with Biden's approval ratings in the toilet, thanks to record high gas prices, 40-year high inflation, and a baby formula crisis, Biden's handlers thought that it would be a great idea to once again have celebrities visit the White House. And not just any celebrities. During the final day of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the White House brought in South Korean supergroup BTS. First, they were trotted out in front of the White House press corps.
They will join President Biden in a discussion about Asian inclusion, representation, and diversity, as well as addressing an anti-Asian hate crimes and discrimination.
And considering that only 1 out of the 8 people in this photo is fluent in English, this guy right here, I'm sure that it was a very productive conversation. And while the White House is so concerned about diversity and representation, they couldn't be bothered to find actual Asians from America to participate in Asian American Heritage Month. Great messaging, idiots.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. President.
Welcome to the White House. Come on up here, guys. This is an important month here in America. A lot of our Asian American friends have been subject to real discrimination. Hate only hides. When good people talk about it and say how bad it is, it goes down.
So a group of famous Asians are going to convince people who hate Asian Americans to stop discriminating against Asian Americans. Got it.
People care a lot about what you say, and what you're doing is good for all people. It's not just your great talent. It's the message you're communicating. It matters.
No, it doesn't. It's not going to change a damn thing. The people inflicting hate crimes on Asian Americans aren't going to stop doing what they're doing because Joe Biden had a photo op with a South Korean boy band. Give me a break. Anyway, that's it for now. Be sure to hit that like button, check out these videos that you definitely missed, and be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. As always, I hope to see you next time. If there is next time.